Look.
All right, first on the agenda, do I have to read the public hearing notice?
It is not, no public hearing notice needed, and we can move straight to 1A since the water commissioners are not here yet.
Perfect. First on the agenda is to ratify Timothy Bean's employment as DPW laborer.
Yep, so Linda, would you like to speak?
Sure, so I'm requesting the board ratify Tim Bean. He has, he's been a laborer for a while. He has a CDL and hoisting license, so I think he'll be a good asset to our DPW department.
Awesome. Hi, Tim. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Awesome.
Nice meeting you again.
Pleasure. Pleasure. And little Tim?
Yeah.
How are you, little Tim?
Good.
Awesome. Anything you want to say?
Just that I'm looking forward to joining your team and looking forward to bringing my experiences and learning from the other people I'm going to work with.
Right on. Not that it matters, but CDL Class A?
B.
Class B. All right. I'm a CDL guy myself, so I always ask.
Yeah, no, I mean, we have a really great department, so I think you'll, hopefully fit in well and enjoy it here. Yeah, no, don't have much to say. It looks like everybody's in favor. You've got the experience and the licenses, some helpful licenses, so that's great, wonderful.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I echo everything. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you and can use the help. So.
Thank you.
Right on. Just very similar to what they said. Michael will attest to it. We have a really great department. As you know, we work hard. Your department works hard, extra hard come out, especially winter. You can work hard all the time, but there's a little bit extra add come winter, especially after this winter. I'm not sure if you took a drive through and sir, if you I'm not sure if you drove around during the last big storm we had. The department knocked it out the park, in our opinion. I think we had the best roads around. And it's thanks to the leadership over there. They do a great job. So you're falling in on good hands. At this time, I'll make a motion to ratify Tim Bean's employment as DPW laborer.
Second?
All in favor?
All in favor? Old habits are hard to die. Tim, welcome aboard. We look forward to having you.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
All right, don't move yet. We have one more. Next is to vote to ratify Bruce. Oh, I should have asked how to say it.
I was waiting for this one.
Bruce Vadabunker's employment as DPW laborer. Bruce, anything, or Linda?
So the same thing with Bruce. He comes with many years of experience. He also has a CDL and hoisting license. And I think that both of them will be a great fit.
Awesome. Bruce, anything you want to say?
I'm just looking forward to joining the team.
Yeah, I mean, you just heard everything I just said about our department.
Exactly.
I'll tell you, we stand behind our leadership in this town. And the I'm not sure if you had an opportunity to speak to any of the guys that are working out there. They're a phenomenal group. We are really grateful and happy to have everyone that's out there.
Looking forward to it.
And CDL A, B?
A.
My man.
All of the same applies. Nice to meet you. Welcome aboard. Can't wait to, fill the team.
Yeah, same. I don't. I have thoughts about Mike and the CDL comments, but they're not related to either one of you.
It just means he could move stuff that's on the trailer.
You were very excited for that,
It's
so I
good.
am too, I guess.
With the requirements now to get your CDL, it's very difficult. These guys will attest to it. It's very difficult to get your CDL these days. It's very expensive. So that to us is a bonus.
Fantastic.
You know what I mean? All right, at this time, I'll make a motion to ratify Bruce
Come on.
Vadabunker.
Vadabunker's employment as DPW laborer. I apologize for that.
That's okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right on. Hey, both of you, welcome.
Welcome
Welcome,
aboard,
both
guys.
of
They've got a great
Thank
team.
you very much.
You can hang out for the meeting, or you can take off, whatever works for you.
Oh,
but
Linda's gonna
it's
pull
gonna
you
be
out in a
very
second.
interesting.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for bringing your families. Love meeting them.
Have a good night. Drive safe.
Thank you.
Nice to meet
Bye.
you.
Best of luck.
Thanks to you guys.
So, good seeing you again.
Thank you.
Nice meeting everybody.
All right.
Nice.
Same here. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. No problem.
Thank you, Mark.
Yep, next on the agenda is vote to ratify Luke Azak's employment as contract WB Cam station manager.
It's all set. You can ratify.
All right. I make a motion to ratify Luke Azak's employment contract as WB Cam station manager.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the mutual aid agreement for inspection services with East Bridgewater.
So this is just a continuation. We've been doing this with East Bridgewater and quite frankly, other towns as well. But we've been doing this since before my tenure started here. This is to allow our inspector, whenever they have vacations, to fill in for them and vice versa. It saves us money, so we don't have to hire part-time people to make up for that, same with other towns. This one is for East Bridgewater and is effective for 3 years.
All right, make a motion to approve the mutual aid agreement for inspection services with East Bridgewater.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of May 6, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to accept the meeting minutes of June 3rd, 2026 for review.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Threw it off.
All right, at this time, I'm not sure if we want to grab the water, or should we run through the whole thing?
Yeah, let's finish, yeah.
All right.
please.
Communication reports from boards, commission, and town officials, we have none. Correspondence from the public to determine a course of action. Either of you gentlemen have anything to?
When are you guys doing elections workers? Are you doing those in July and August? You guys selecting election workers this year?
Yep, so
Yeah.
that comes from the town clerk, and you did that, I think it was for April, because
Yeah,
it was for
April's
the April
meeting.
election going forward.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's already been done
Yep.
till next year?
Yeah.
So it'd be next year we'd have to grab someone?
Yes, however, if you're interested and you know someone who's interested, reach out to Annie, because we only appoint what she's requested. I don't know as to whether or not she needed other positions filled or not.
We have a registrar that would rather work as an election worker, so she was looking to step down as a registrar and maybe jump into that role. But we'll have to come up in April for that?
I would have the conversation with Annie, and then, because they can only act on her request by Mass General Law.
Okay.
So talk to Annie first and see what that is.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Public comment period.
Ooh.
Oh, go ahead.
That's where I was going. Can we have, Phil take a look at a tree tomorrow on Crescent Street?
Contact Phil, this is not the place to bring it up.
Okay, all right.
All right.
I'm ready to fall down.
Yeah, no, just, will be back from vacation tomorrow.
Oh, well, okay, all right.
Town administrators report.
Yep, thank you. So real quickly, as you know, there's the Lincoln Street Agreement. We signed the Fourth Amendment last week. True to form, I'm sure we'll have a fifth one, as I said, because they were out there working on the access road earlier today. And I'm not an engineer, but based on what I'm seeing, I don't think it's going to be done in the next couple of days. So I expect a fifth one. In any event, when we go to close, there is a deed that must be signed from the town. This has been prepared by town council. So I'm going to ask you for 2 items. One is to vote to sign the deed, and then you will sign it as well. With the one caveat that council called me about a half hour ago, and he may want to add one additional item to it, and if so, I'll present it back to you. You don't want to have to do it at a meeting, that's why I'm asking you for a vote now, because it doesn't materially change anything. And if so, then I'll let you know, you guys can come back and sign it at that point. But it just needs to be done for the close.
All right, make a motion to sign the quitclaim deed for the Lincoln Street swap agreement with those changes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next is just a transfer station gridiron we'll use on August 8th. And at this point, your next meeting is scheduled for July 15th.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Nope. So I'm gonna grab the water department, and then we'll start our joint session with them. Okay, good, thank you.
That's it, right?
Nope.
Oh,
Public
no,
hearing.
you're good.
Oh.
We open and then we go into executive more.
Right. But yeah, the water commissioners are coming in for a joint meeting.
Executive or
No, open session.
open? Okay.
We're still. I just saw executive session on the agenda, so.
No,
You gotta go up top. We skip them up top at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
yeah, so we'll probably end up doing both, Mark.
All right, just let me know. Thank you
Afternoon. Hello.
Hello.
Gentlemen.
Oh, this was for you, Mr. McLeod, right up here.
Not me.
I gotta read anything?
You do not, however, I was
They gotta
asked.
open.
Yeah, they have to open their meeting.
Set?
Yep, just open your meeting.
Okay. Open the meeting of the Board of Water Commissioners, June 10th, 2026 at 6:41. Joint session with the Board of Selectmen.
So moved.
Second.
You have to actually vote on that.
Aye.
All right, awesome. Gentlemen, how are you today?
Great, thank you.
Awesome. Hey, so main reason I wanted to have a joint meeting, I know that there was some conversations, but the main reason I wanted to have a joint meeting, especially an open session, is to just kind of like walk through all of this. I do understand that there is some energy potentially to still move forward with the DPW merger, so I just kind of would like to hear about it in an open session and then kind of see where we go from there.
Sure. First, if I know you were gonna put that up on the screen for the TV, I would have done it neater.
So it was on your
It's
desk.
a little
It
sketchy.
looks perfect.
But yeah, we did, actually, Selectman Ryan and I, after the town meeting, we talked about continuing forward. I threw that together for us to have something to talk about. He shared it with the DPW director, and we've had a few discussions on it. Talking to the director, he's also thinks that's something that can work. The way we would handle it is the director would, basically his job, and act also as the water superintendent, would change the job description somewhat of the water superintendent, because he's not gonna be doing as much of the day-to-day as Wayne's superintendent position is now. The senior operator would also become an assistant water superintendent. That would probably be a new hire, because the person we had, that we actually lost recently. But he would basically work with us for anything to do with the water system. Anything to do with the rest of the DPW would go through the selectmen. Anything that there's a chance to combine would be kind of his initiative, to, like pipelines with, doing when they're doing the road paving, or doing things like that that get coordinated, would be under him, and depending on how it was gonna be scheduled, would either be more under the water side, if it's, okay, we need to do this main, let's get this road done, or if it's, the commissioners want these roads done, it'd go more under them, because we'd then do the water mains when the roads are being done. I did speak with him quite a while, actually, last week. He called me while he was on vacation. And he said he was pretty good with that kind of arrangement. He does think the assistant superintendent under him is gonna be important to make it work, just because he's not gonna be able to be everywhere all at once, and making sure the day-to-day is getting done when he can't be, if he has to concentrating on something else on the DPW side, or for coverage on vacations and things like that. So that's basically it. The we don't care on there is just because, again, we're not having anything to do with the DPW side.
Yeah.
That's the reason. It wasn't to disparage anybody
No,
in
no,
DPW.
I got that. I got that. And are you guys all in favor of this?
It's not really, we're supporting, obviously, for the best interest of the town. It's not really a merger, it's just a consolidation of the leadership of our departments.
I mean,
I was opposed to the appointed position that we
Were you?
that we were in front of town meeting last month for.
I think they got that.
So I guess that's, Art and I obviously started a conversation, I think, on stage after the meeting. Recognizing, what I took from town meeting is that the town was not in favor of the water commissioners no longer being elected. And that's what I took that vote to be. With that vote in mind, I still think we had incredible talent, and I don't think anybody argued that at the meeting, in Phil, who's done a great job, as we were praising the DPW a few moments ago. Done a great job with the DPW, and obviously has a lot of knowledge, having run a couple of water departments prior to. I think we said all this at town meeting as well. But with all that in mind, I think we both thought the best interest of the town, I wasn't necessarily happy with the outcome, still the best interest of the town was to try to make this work. I think he's got skill that you would have, I don't wanna, it would be hard for the town to find somebody with this skill to come in and run a department of the size that it is, you know, at a rate. And I think we've got somebody here. We are not incredibly heavy right now or foreseeable future with DPW projects. I know Phil's somebody that likes to use the engineering side of his brain as well. And I think, you know, there's plenty of engineering going on the water side. So I think it's a great way to keep Phil here, keep a good DPW person here, and gain that experience and move it over to the water side as well.
I think it's better, we were concerned trying to replace Wayne when he retires because it's very difficult to get someone to do both parts of that job.
Yep.
Adding that in on the DPW job is somewhat small compared to most other DPWs. They usually have water or sewer or something like that also included. So it'll make the DPW director job, I think, easier to get good candidates for in the future when you know, Phil eventually retires. And it'll also make, I think, that assistant superintendent, we can set that up as a more favorable position for trying to hire people that maybe would be someone that would go up into that position, you know, through
Yep.
someone from the town, as opposed to having to necessarily go out and advertise, depending on how things work. But I think that type of arrangement can definitely, I think, work. Phil seemed pretty well on board with it as well. So it's just gonna be a matter of trying to find and define that new position that's gonna be under him. I didn't wanna try to even put something forward. As long as we're going forward, I wanna talk with him about it. He should be involved in that, coming up with that description, what work items he thinks would be better, you know, we wanna advertise to be split into that. Because if he's gonna be working with the person, so he might as well be have involvement.
I heard Jeff in, I'll be honest, I heard town meeting's voice a little bit different. From what I heard at town meeting is the people were not in favor of the merger. That's the message I heard loud and clear, and that's really why I wanted this meeting to be an open and public forum. Because the message I received was very similar to what John, not to quote you on there, but you said it's been this way for 116 years. And the message I received from listening to what was said was that they weren't in favor. I am very much so personally in favor of seeing that Phil be the guy, because that's what we were trying to do back in August when we had a meeting. But the message I heard from the residents of the town, I can't say that I heard what you heard, Jeff. I cannot say that I heard that, because what I heard was people were not, they weren't necessarily, I don't think they minded the fact of the appointment or the elected portion of it. I feel like their struggles were that they weren't in favor of the merger of the departments.
If I may, Mike, I don't
please.
think of it that way, and as you know, I stood in opposition to the merger. I think,
Stood in opposition to their.
well,
To the appointment.
To be appointed. And my concern was that we would lose contact with the electorate out there, and that's not the case that this is gonna happen. This makes it easy for, I think, all of our departments to get together. I support this.
Okay.
This change. I mean, I don't support eliminating the elected position that we had before, because then we would lose, you know, contact with our voters. I think this works out well for all of our departments.
Yeah,
For
and
everybody in town.
may I add, please, at no time is this intended to be like, this is open discussion, guys. I don't want it to seem as though this is like one direct, no, like this is an open discussion, so please, at any point, if anybody's upset by anything anybody says, please, it's not to get anybody up in arms, you know what I mean? It's just to have a discussion. My thing is, over the last, 3 weeks, you know, there's been a lot of conversations that have already been had. And I don't know how I feel about it. You know, not necessarily just being on the board, because it's like, to me, it's very important to maintain continuity within departments and have a great open relationship with all the departments in town. I'd really like to hear more on how we think this is going to work. And we don't necessarily have to immediately make a decision today, but I think we could even start having a good basis on a good starting point, you know what I mean, on topics of discussion.
So, for town meeting, in this article, I had a lot of positive energy about this. I know that there was an issue with the elected versus appointed, and I will agree and disagree with both of you at the same time. I believe that the message that I received, or that I got from the residents, was that they took issue more so with the elected versus appointed. And as upset as I am about that, because I think that that was actually a very minor issue, but here we are. So my concern is that the residents didn't get enough information about the reason we were doing this, what we were trying to accomplish with this, right? They were persuaded to vote against this, I believe, this is my personal opinion, because of the appointed versus elected position, rather than what would be in the best interest of the entire town and all of its residents. So while I was in favor of this for those reasons, I don't necessarily agree or favor the setup that we have going on here. I know that that requires more discussion. But just as far as, how do you see, like, the office staff? Who manages the office staff day to day, whether or not they work actually in the office or from home? Who's gonna manage that going forward, do you see?
That would be the water superintendent is in charge of that side. So he's gonna be in charge. If he may delegate that to his assistant as to how much goes, but I mean,
Nothing changes,
that's,
right?
you're basically taking that piece and just sticking it onto the box that the DPW, so he's gonna
then
deal with all of that.
So then he answers directly to who? And what's his input on this? Who
His
is he gonna answer
input-
directly to?
Well, on the water side, he answers to the water commissioners.
Okay.
On the DPW, if we don't like where the DPW guys are having coffee in the afternoon, he's not gonna talk to us about that. If we get complaints about the water department guys having coffee somewhere too many times in the afternoon, then we'd get the complaints about if it's water, it comes to us. If it's not water, it goes, but it all goes through him, and eventually.
So he'll be
splits up.
managing the office staff himself? Like, that's not gonna be the water commissioners managing the office staff?
No, we don't, just like we don't manage the office staff now.
Well-
The superintendent manages the office staff, reports to us.
But the water commissioners manage the superintendent currently. And I've received complaints about the office staff not being in the office, so I have an issue with that.
Well, I'm gonna stop you there because I've sat here long before August and listened to complaints about the office staff not being there, listened to complaints about the phone not being answered, said for every one of you, the town clerk, the assistant town clerk, if anybody hears that, give me a call, let me know so I can find out when it is and I can see what happened. I haven't received one phone call from anybody about it. So if it's happening as much as has been talked about in the past, we can't do anything about it unless we know.
But the
And
water
nobody's
commissioner
telling
should,
us.
I mean, the water superintendent should know about it, right? He would know
Well,
whether or
if-
not
and if-
she's in the office?
If it's happening, and he probably does, and he probably knows why she's not there if she's not there. If she's not there, she might be using time off, she might be using sick time, she might be running up to town hall with invoices and things that need to be brought over here when the phone happens to ring. But if there's an issue and we're not told about it, we can't check in on it.
I'm just saying, and I'll be very clear, because when the current superintendent came in for the budget meeting, we asked questions that we couldn't get answers to, and we were met with what I'm gonna describe as disrespect.
Okay.
I don't feel like there was a lot of oversight with the current superintendent, to be honest. So I'm concerned going forward that there may not be as much oversight as there should be with the office.
Well, if you're concerned about the current superintendent, he wouldn't be doing that anymore.
Very true, but it's the
Because-
water commissioners who are overseeing him right now.
Well, and again, if the water commissioners aren't told of a problem as when it occurs, we can't look into it.
But then that's my issue with the organizational chart you have here. So if you don't know about it, you can't do anything about it. But if the Board of Selectmen do get complaints, and we do know about it, we can act on it. If they're, you understand what I'm
No,
saying?
if-
So,
Well, you can't now.
no,
Does that
I'm
mean-
saying
Does that
if,
mean that you want to in the future, instead of, if you get a complaint, calling me, would you have my phone number, calling me and telling me to talk to the superintendent?
but doesn't that get hairy, don't
Why?
you think?
It gets a lot hairier for you to call the water superintendent directly, whether it's that water superintendent or under the current way.
But you also acknowledged at the August meeting that it was not gonna be okay, or it was not gonna work well having two boards overseeing one department. And that's the same problem I'm bringing up right now,
We're not
basically.
overseeing one, we're splitting him amongst the two. We're not two boards overseeing one department. We have one person running two departments, with one board overseeing one and one board overseeing the other.
Marcy, may I interject real quick? Excuse me. I can't speak for the other two selectmen, but I do know that myself, when there's an issue in town, unless there's a department head that's featured right there, when that issue arises, I very rarely, I think it's happened one time, and I think, can't tell you the reason, but it just happened last week where I fielded several calls, about something with DPW. I didn't call the director. I didn't call the assistant DPW director. I called David. Because to me, command and staff is very important. Obviously, military career and command and staff and having a good, strong structure is important to me. And having a strong foundation is important to me as well. And the reason I call David is because that way I keep it consistent. That way the messaging is consistent. David, am I incorrect?
No, I recall the conversation.
And it happens very often and frequent where instead of me going, and you guys are elected, so I'm not here to tell you guys how to do your thing, but at the same time, I like to call one point person, especially when there's an issue. That way the message to the department heads and relaying the message to the employees is consistent. It keeps us out of potential issues in the future with, unions and different things, in my opinion.
But that's the way that it works now though, Mike. I mean, the DPW is under you. In the future, if something were to happen, you would call one of us. Or David could call, you call David if he's your point man, then he would call one of us, say, look, you got a problem, whatever the case may be.
And I hear you, and that's why I think we're here. Because
There's one thing we can't lose sight of. The individual that we have in our mind, he has the proper licensure.
agreed.
And without the proper licensure, we've got problems over there. And it's not like you can go out and hire a plumber, a licensed plumber. We've got particulars we have to, keep our search to.
I'm not disagreeing.
That's very important in my opinion. That's why
It is.
I feel the way that I do.
But going forward, we'll straighten it out if there's problems.
Yeah, I strongly feel like
I just think you got a great guy there.
100%.
We do.
100%.
We
I don't
definitely
disagree.
do.
I think that these two guys, they're happy, so I think we're just going the right way. We're gonna go with
I think the issues that are going to arise are not necessarily from the department itself, to be honest with you. I think that the potential issues are going to arise from the two boards, and just being frank and honest.
then we have to address it later. I mean, what can we do?
I just being honest.
That's the problem we have in divorce.
I'm just being honest.
It's too hard.
Not that hard.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything else you guys would like to present? And
Well, I think I'm gonna step in one more time.
Yeah,
I
please.
think
this is
at the
open
end-
discussion, please.
At the end of the day, there's some emotion here on this board. I think maybe a little pissed off about the town meeting. But at the end of the day, this is the right thing to do for the town right now, bottom line. Present me something better, I'll listen. As far as issues related to water, you'd go to the chair. I mean, that's where it should go now. That's where it would go. I get it. I get there's some angst. I get there's some, maybe some friction between the two boards. I can feel that. I had some of that. I definitely had some of that after the meeting. But at the end of the day, the best thing for the town is this right here.
I don't think it's in the best interest of the town, and I think it discredits the other two members of each board if it's just chair to chair working out issues, in my opinion. I think that we are all elected to make decisions together, as a board. You know what I mean? As a board, we're elected to make decisions together as a board, not necessarily as individuals. No disrespect to anyone. I just feel like it's important for me to, if I'm going to make a decision, I think it's important that these two are involved.
Isn't that what we're doing right now?
It
Well, I
is,
mean, and Jeff-
it is, but if there's a problem, you just mentioned we take it to the chair and have the chair handle it.
No, I'm saying, Marcy was saying if she called and nobody was at the office and she wanted to report that to somebody, it would obviously be reported to the chair. I don't think we have to vote here to report it to the chair.
No.
We just report it to the chair.
No, right on. I didn't get your message that way. That's not what I just was
Sorry.
saying. I downloaded it different.
So again, while I thought it was in the best interest of the residents to do this, because I still maintain that it was, I feel like, any potential issues that arise between the two boards and disagreements and conflicts and whatever that could potentially arise isn't in the best interest in the long term of the residents, because that's gonna create an issue in the water department. That's gonna trickle down. There's gonna be a problem. We are going there, whether it's this board or the next board or this board or the next board, at some point, there's going to be a conflict, there's gonna be no way to work it out, and that's not in the best interest of the residents, in my opinion.
Except there would be the same conflict if we were overseeing a water commissioner, or rather water superintendent, and you weren't overseeing the water superintendent. The
But
only
we
difference.
can say we're not doing it, we don't have any involvement. At that point, the Board of Selectmen's not involved, it's all on the water department.
And it still wouldn't be, we're dealing with two jobs, you just have one person holding essentially two jobs in his job description.
This is where my conflict is. Because in my brain, I would love to see a world where if there's a big water job and they needed assistance with labor, that the DPW would assist. The DPW laborers would assist in accomplishing that job or that task, because then it would be a department. I feel like this way we have a hard line in the sand of we are gonna get a lot of that's not my job, and I understand we still have unions to work through. But when it comes to like labor work, again, please somebody correct me if I'm wrong, when it comes to labor work, it's gonna be labor work, right?
Well, it is labor work, although specific work on the water system has to be done by distribution system licensed people. But again, he is in charge of the people on the left, and he's in charge of the people on the right. If he wants to, for 3 days 1 week, take the people on the left and have them work with something on the people on the right, or vice versa, he's got some stuff he needs to get done and he needs something shut down, he can move those people, he's in control of those people for overall planning. He tells Mike on one side and whoever the assistant is on the other side, look, I need 2 guys here and 2 guys here on these days, make it work. I don't see why that's an issue. The same way as it doesn't work as easy when it's one guy here and one guy here and they have to kind of negotiate between each other, it's him. So you have one person can make that decision of what's the best way to utilize all the resources under him. Again, labor is the labor, they're getting paid their rate for the time that they're working. They're gonna do the work based on where he sends them back and forth. I don't see that, water main break. Much rather have the excavation, the backfilling and repaving done by DPW, because our guys don't do that work that well. The excavation getting up till but the repaving, we always have issues, because by the time they're done, they wanna move on to the next thing, and it's, the DPW guys do a better job, they got the good paving equipment. Right there, he can coordinate that much easier than we can when you have 2 separate people. I think that works out a lot. And when Jeff and I talked after the town meeting, it wasn't trying to cut anybody out of the discussion, as far as, we just wanted to see if there was a way we could save it. We always assumed, I think, that it was gonna eventually come before both boards for this kind of discussion. We just wanted to make sure we had some way of maybe getting forward before we kind of wasted everybody's time.
No, I got it, and I'll be honest, like, I didn't take it that way, you know what I mean, I got pretty thick skin. I understand that there's a path in best interest of town overall in general. My biggest things were people planning, overall command and control, who is controlling the entire masses. And I believe that in order to run a strong, successful department, a DPW director would have to be able to command and control all his people to do the task that's in front of them. That was one of my strong, like, questions I had, as well as the message I heard from the town. You know, it sounds like we had conflicting. My ears probably were.
Definitely. I got the same idea that Jeff did. I even had people came up afterwards and before the meeting to me, and that was what they were specifically talking about.
I mean,
was the actual not being able to elect the commissioners.
in the long term, I think that this is going to make the town more efficient. I'm all about it. I'm a Lean Six Sigma guy. I'm all about efficiencies and planning, and that to me is important. Discussions?
Spoken, I'm good.
So the purpose of this meeting, and I want to make sure that we're all clear as to what the role is, because we have basically we have two meetings tonight. We have one in open session. The open session is about how to organize so we can try to effectuate this change. Then we have the ability to go into executive session if we all agree that, although I think there's multiple options, but if there is an agreement that we want to be able to put forward this change, then we have the ability to go into executive session so we can have both boards discuss a contract, which would include obviously compensation, but also terms of employment. So I think at this point, there has to be some clarity on both sides as to whether or not we're looking forward to some type of structure. My personal opinion is that while this is a nice 30,000-foot view, there needs to be some more. For example, who appoints the assistant water superintendent? According to this chart, the DPW director does. But I think Art is gonna say it's the water commissioners who do. And I'm not arguing that it shouldn't be. All I'm saying is the fact that according to this chart, that would be unclear. I would hope that because it's an assistant water superintendent, the water commissioners would basically ratify a decision that the DPW wants to do, similar to what we do on this side. But I don't know that because they haven't said what their process would be. Same thing with the office manager. I would hope it would be the same process. But again, that's what we would need for clarity. Because at the end of the day, without talking about the authority of the water department, the DPW director cannot manage the department if that person has little say, no say, or minimal say as to who's working for them. It wouldn't work in any setting. So I think part of that has to be, we have to know what the water department is thinking on that. The second thing is on a day-to-day basis. Again, who is the DPW director / water superintendent going to answer to? I had a brief conversation with Phil before he went on vacation. He told me he had a conversation with Jeff and Mark at that point, and he wanted to answer to one person at all times. Now that, I only had that from him. I know what he told me, what was said, but according to this, he would be answering directly only to the Board of Selectmen. We know that's not true on our side. So again, we need to know what the real chain of command is, who actually makes the appointments, and then as we do with the board, you guys don't make day-to-day decisions, especially individually. You're not allowed by general law to do that. Either you guys.
We don't.
You guys can only make them, you guys can only do them as a policy-setting board, as part of a board. So I think we just need to make sure that that structure is in place and everybody understands that role. And then if that's the case, then the two boards would have the opportunity to take a vote to say, we like this, let's move forward with this, and we can go into executive session and then talk about terms of employment and compensation. If nobody is ready to take that vote, but you still think that we should move forward and have another conversation, we can do that. And we can still go into executive session and figure out the part of the DPW water superintendent position. And obviously, if there's a failure that nobody really wants to, then we don't have to go into executive session and do anything. But I think right now, I think some questions should be, who appoints the assistant water superintendent? What does that process look like? Who appoints the office manager? What does that system look like? I think that's one item that should be addressed, because that's structure. That's clearly an open session conversation. And I think that would be important to make sure, regardless of who that DPW director, water superintendent is, they need to make sure that they have at least a lot of input, if not really making most of the decision, looking for ratification from the board.
Well, that's exactly the conversation that I had with Phil, as far, we're not looking to change how it already works from our end. We go out with Wayne through the selectman's office typically, or the administrator's office, to advertise for positions. We assume we advertise for positions, the superintendent would be involved in reviewing those people that apply, that come in and make, selecting somebody, and the water commissioners would vote on whether or not that person fits into one of those boxes. Basically the way we do it now, simply Phil sitting in here, as opposed to sitting down at the water department. There's really no change day to day of commissioners dealing with the water, superintendent dealing with things going down. We wouldn't cut Phil out and appoint a water super, an assistant to him. Makes no sense. He has to work with that person all the time. So he'd have significant involvement in it. And unless there was a real reason for it, there's no reason we probably wouldn't go with his recommendation. We have a hard enough time finding qualified people that we can pull in for these jobs. It's tough when you're a small system.
Yep.
But similar with the way everything works underneath, we're not seeing it as being, and that it wasn't my intent when I drew the squiggle there, that we're gonna do all this and stick it onto the superintendent, and he's gonna have to deal with it. He's gonna be dealing with it the same way the existing superintendent would be dealing with it. We're acting on the policy making role, what we're going looking for, same way it works now, as far as dealing with anybody on that side.
Yeah, and I think everything that Art said makes sense. That's the way it should be done. But we need to make sure we have clarity that the entire board is good with that. But then we're gonna have to we should put that as a policies and procedures, so that way we know, so that way when there's a future board, if they're different people, they know what that process is. For example, on the selectmen side, we have a formal hiring process. It's spelled out, we follow it. So just so you know, because I would envision it would be the same on your side, is that if we have a department head that is vacant, for example, council on aging, we can't, as administrators, do anything without their permission to post, approve the job description, and post in the salary range. We then go out and we do all of that work. The expectation is, as long as we were true to the spirit of that, is that they will then ratify who we bring to them. Obviously, if I'm hiring my cousin, they should have some questions, right? But the point is that even though they have legitimate veto power at all times, if we have brought them that's qualified, that's within the salary range, they're comfortable with it, they ratify it at that point. That would be, I would hope that we would do something similar on the water side, so that way the DPW director has a lot of control to make sure he or she gets who they think is the best person after they went through that hiring process.
And it's basically, again, what we already do in large part. That's not, and there was, again, no intention of changing how any of that was working.
I'll say this, it sounds like you guys are in favor of doing this. I think that I'm not ready to make a decision at this time. Me personally, I'm not sure if the other two boards are, the other two members are. I'd like to see a policy. I don't think it's a lot of heavy lifting, because it does sound like we've already got it all done. I'd like to see I don't think it should be heavy lifting at all. I'd like to see somewhat of a policy. That way, that gives pure definitions of how this process is going to work. I think this is a good head start. I personally don't feel like we need to go into executive session at this moment. I mean, unless you two are ready to make a vote, I am personally not.
I have a question before you.
Yes, sir.
If there's a water leak, who's fixing it?
Water department.
The whole thing? Digging it, fixing the pipe,
Currently,
backfilling it, paving it, correct? So, will the DPW know how to do this stuff? They help, what happens there?
Oh,
Do
you're
they
talking
help?
about cross-training?
I don't know, what happened if a water guy's out, two guys
Well,
are out?
According to this, they're completely separate.
No,
It
it's
looks like-
except there are two sides. The DPW director's in charge of both of them.
Mm-hmm.
He can use people, that unless your side is gonna tell him he can't, we're not dealing with how he uses the people day to day. So if he wants to push people over from highway over to a water leak to backfill and pave, if he wants to tell his DPW guys, hey, look, get distribution licenses, so you can do some more of this stuff to give more flexibility, that's all in his court, because he's in charge of the whole thing. So I mean, it makes it easier to do what we need to do, and sometimes this happened in the past. We've had a big break, something that's taken a long time. The highway guys end up getting, Wayne calls up, asks, they get somebody over there, and they do some of that. And if they do the paving, we get less complaints on the paving afterwards, so it's a good thing. I think doing it like this, in that one person, in that one office, makes all that go easier. And again, he can, as it goes up, you might find there's people in the water side that are more adept at doing the stuff on the DPW side, and the DPW guys that like the distribution license stuff work better.
I just feel like we need to fill in some of the gray area.
Oh,
And there's gonna be-
agree. That says one of three. There were
Yep.
two other
Oh, there's
pages.
two more pages.
There were two other
Yeah.
pages that cover,
No.
somewhat cover a bunch of this stuff. We don't need to go over it all.
I went over it,
Time.
but I still think
But-
that there's some gray area.
Definitely.
I think
because
there's
don't-
gray area, and I think that even, let's say we reconvene July 15th and have another joint meeting in July, right? And we're gonna have to do this a couple of times, gentlemen, and I think it's important, if we're gonna get this to work right and work well together, we're gonna have to do this a couple of times, and we're gonna have to continue to fill in, some of these gray areas. And unfortunately, some of that's gonna require pen to paper, that way it's gonna keep things, these two boards might be able to figure it out, but you're gonna be here in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, you don't know, John? I don't know, none of us know, right?
I know.
John will
If
be
I
there
can-
forever.
If I can interrupt for 1 second, I didn't see this as a long-term solution, to be perfectly honest with you. I see this right now working because of the person we currently have in the spot. You're trying to cement something in, I didn't get that from town meeting. My thought here is we do this because it will work under the current person, and if it is good and it continues to go, it goes. But I'm not necessarily looking at this as like, this is it, this is how it's gonna go. And this is gonna be a 25-year process. I'm looking at it right now as this works because of the person we have in the DPW can do both of these, and there we go.
Up until that statement, I never knew that to be true.
I have another question. We have our DPW, water superintendent, he's starting to crank out all his time, his sick time. We don't have another guy. So I think you guys gotta move on this quicker than later, because he bangs out, there's nobody there.
And then back to my point about why I had so much energy at town meeting to get this passed, and why I think that people made their decisions not based on the right reasons or given all of the facts, and that's my concern, right? Is that the residents didn't make the decision that was in their own best interest because the water was muddied by whether or not you were gonna be elected or appointed.
Well, that was the article they were voting on. If you want to talk about why that didn't pass, this wasn't even brought up until somebody in the town meeting got up there and brought it up. This was brought up as simply changing, and that we know the reason why, but
I
they
agree.
were right. They looked, the people that went to that town meeting are the same people that go and they read the articles ahead of time, and the only thing they saw was an article that said change from an elected board to an appointed board.
We,
And that's why they turned out and voted against
we
it.
had $49 million worth of voting. It took probably an hour and 15 minutes, and it took an hour and a half on this stupid question.
But it surrounded elected versus
But it was terrible.
appointed.
Yes, it wasn't,
I mean, they voted for fire engines for $2 million in 7 seconds.
Yep.
No one asked, hey, where are the old ones going? I don't know.
I went
We
into that
don't know.
meeting thinking we might
But
all
I'm
be on the
just-
same page,
you know,
so
90 people
blindsided.
show up at the meeting. You know, maybe it wasn't out as much. I don't know, but,
I mean,
you know,
the
for
problem is
$49 million,
wasn't-
it took
The number's wrong.
whatever the number
Doesn't
is,
matter. He's
Wasn't
on a
gonna say
roll.
anything.
right? I just can't believe how
Right.
fast it took. And then this, and then we're all trying to do the right thing.
Agreed.
100%. We're not trying to take from anybody.
Nope.
We're trying to help.
Agreed.
And then you got some lady out there knitting, making a blanket, and some kid holding the yarn. I'm like, are you shitting me? So,
Let's reel it in real quick. I think
FCC.
Please,
But I
let's really-
agree that
This
we
is
were
where
all
I
trying
get-
to
I
do
get
what was in
so-
the best interest of the town.
it's not right, you
And
know? And
It went
we dig a
sideways.
hole,
You a blanket.
you know, the guy wants,
I do
who's in
like it.
charge of paving? That's what you know,
I agree.
You know,
We should
they-
have
they
spoken
go
about
over, the water
actual
department
facts,
don't pay,
things that
well,
mattered.
it's their pipe, fix it.
did you want, you
I,
wanted to
well,
lie.
I
You go
just,
for
I
profit.
sit here and listen to it, it goes over, and we're gonna have another meeting and another meeting. Wayne's checked out,
No,
he's
Wayne-
checked out,
Well,
and there's
you
nobody
can oversee
there.
him.
Wayne
It's your
hasn't,
staff.
Wayne hasn't checked out.
He's
Plan-
checked out a
he
year
is-
ago.
He is planning his leave, and he is trying to deal with,
I'm not,
mostly with the water
This
plant.
is probably short term.
No, I see, I disagree.
First I heard of it.
I think
That's
if
the
you-
first
if
I'm
you want
hearing of that as
DP
well, and I wouldn't vote on it being short term.
If you want DPW to work long-term, we also need this, because that DPW job is too small without this for when I was on that committee, and every last person except for the person from in town who applied for that was responsible for more people, more money. The only reason they were coming for that job was to get the title superintendent so they could use that title when they bounced to another job.
I appreciate
This
you bringing
makes
up my
this-
arguments.
No, I agree with you
No, I mean,
completely on that.
Look, this is a trial. Like, we can write a million policies if that's what we gotta do, but like, we're gonna see how this goes.
I mean,
This works,
I
it
think
doesn't work.
I think a lot of not all the policy, but, I mean, I didn't even think about some of the ones that David had mentioned being something that needed to be written down because we were doing it anyway. But some of the stuff, no matter what we write down, I think 6 months into it, we're gonna say, hey, we need to adjust something.
We're gonna
And
have
there's
to.
no reason it can't be adjusted, we work together to figure it out.
We're gonna
I
have
just
to.
think it is important to do it, and, you know, efficiency is a big deal.
Huge.
And we're so small on both sides that it helps to be able to deal with all that.
It's small, but there's a lot to get done. There's a
Yeah.
lot of work to be done.
Oh, it is, that's the problem with being a small town, with everything, with paying for it, getting stuff done. You can't have a big group that just sits there, but you need to have the people being able to get the work done. And we had a lot of roads, we had a lot of pipeline, we're gonna have 2 water treatment plants. You've got these, you know, all the different projects that come through, either whether for DPW, we're gonna have other things going on in town. That's a good job when you get enough work in it to keep a director going. But that's again why he needs an assistant superintendent as opposed to just
Yeah.
the regular laborer operators under him, because there's a lot of work, that compliance issues and things that he's not gonna be able to deal with on a day-to-day basis. But we've got a lot of that, that's why I think it's important, we move forward with this, which I think we should, that in defining that job description and a lot of these details, we need Phil in the room. And whether it's in joint meetings, or we take one of us and one of you and meet with Phil and hash it out and bring it back to our boards, that might be a little more efficient way than trying to do everything at a meeting, because
Could we, David, is that something that's legal to put into, and basically have like a committee for that? Does it have to be a 2-person, could it be a 2-person committee?
Sure, if you want to have one person from the board, one person from the water commissioners, Phil and myself, I think the four of us all sit down and then we put pen to paper.
All right, perfect. So what we'll do is let's form a committee. Let's form a committee for the purpose of expediting, you know, some of this paperwork. That way we don't have to go do a lot of back and forth. And I think by July 15th, we'd be able to, that should give us enough time to formalize it. I know, Mark, it's not going to be in the best, I know you want it done more expedited. However, I feel like if we do this too rushed without the proper policies in place, I think we're going to run into some muddier waters.
So I got a quick question.
Yes, sir?
So on the water side, water commissioners decide, hey, we're gonna hire this guy. This is gonna be the new assistant superintendent, because we don't have anybody in-house. Do they have the final say, or do they gotta bring it to you guys?
That's part of the policies that's part of
In
the.
my opinion, it has to stay with them.
That is part of the policy portion that I'm kind of asking for, or we're kind of asking for, I think.
Well, again, I just wanna make sure there are facts out there. If the water department is going to ratify the recommendation from the water superintendent, DPW director for an assistant water superintendent, I think that's the right approach. They would ratify it, but again, according to the town bylaw, because it would probably be an employment contract, the selectmen would then approve that as well. So you would need both.
But I would think the selectmen would just be a rubber stamp.
They have always been that way. So again, as long as I said earlier, they always, I mean, I don't wanna usurp their authority, I mean, they
No,
have
no,
authority.
I
But as
Al-
long as you bring qualified people to match the job responsibilities along with the compensation parameters, then yes, it should be a rubber stamp at their level, and it should be a rubber stamp
Right.
at their level as well. That is
Al, I
correct.
always look at that as, the only thing I really look at it's the decision of whatever board it is, whether it's board of commissions, COA, whatever. I always look to make sure the person's not getting 10 weeks vacation, that's some ridiculous benefit package, that throws the whole town out of equilibrium
Right.
is part of it. That's all we're looking at.
It's
That's all.
just, this is what I've worked in for 20+ years, so.
Yeah,
I just,
but that is just
I
to,
started out with a DPW board, and then we went to town council, where town manager oversees the DPW, water and sewer. So we had a five-person DPW board when I was hired. So it's, I get it, it's tough having two boards to try to have one guy to answer to. I get it, so.
Yeah, I think that Mark, to answer your question from earlier, I echo everything that Art had said. Is that right now, currently, is if there's a water main break, usually the water superintendent reaches out to DPW, they'll borrow a couple of guys. Unfortunately, it always comes down to personalities, but usually they work pretty well together, and they give them the labor. Same way when there's a snowstorm, the water department gives the DPW their guys as well. I think as long as, since we're referring to Phil, as long as Phil has full operational authority on a day-to-day basis, as he does today.
Yeah.
I don't get involved in what he does on a daily basis unless he involves me or whatever. The board doesn't. Honestly, I'm gonna amend what was said earlier. If there is a complaint that comes in, it doesn't go to Mark, it goes to me and it goes to Phil.
Yeah.
Like, I think if there's a water department, it goes to Phil. If Phil doesn't handle it, then it should go to the board. But as long as Phil has direct operational authority and his involvement with the board here or with the board here is on policy, so that he knows, hey, we want to, for example, FY27, our top priority is hydrants, not water meters. That's a policy decision that the water commission should make. The superintendent then says it's gonna be on Elm Street versus Main Street,
Right.
right? So as long as that's the way it works, I think this potentially works. My biggest concern still is, and why I wanna make sure we put pen to paper on this, is that Phil is a really good, a good manager, and he'll do a good job. But sooner or later, he's gonna want vacation that's inconsistent with what you guys are looking for during a period of time where they are. Or there's a disciplinary issue. Or he leaves and we wanna bring somebody else in. Or we wanna pay them a 10% raise and you wanna give them a 12% raise. That's where some of that conflict is gonna come in. Again, that may be further down the line, but that's my concern with conflict, because that will occur, especially since all six of you, have a good relationship with each other. But 5 years from now, there may be different personalities at that point. And unfortunately, let's face it, people run sometimes for your board, but chiefly for their job, with individual agendas. And that's why I want everything to be crystal clear in writing prior to us moving forward on it, so that way one person coming in with an agenda can't jeopardize that. I think that's fair to Phil, and my only concern about, because I didn't know about the short-term thing either, my only concern about that is eventually you're gonna be looking to hire an assistant water superintendent. If they think that this process is only short-term, you're not hiring anyone.
Well,
Because they're gonna say
I
as
guess
soon
my
as-
point on short-term is, like, we gotta see if this works.
I
We
understand.
can write it all down, we can do everything. It might work, it might not work. It might, somebody said divorce early on. Like, it might, I'm not pointing fingers. It might work, it might not work. So, I mean, we move forward. I mean, I think it's gonna work, and I think it's gonna work very well right now because of all the personalities here. And to the point, we'll make it, we'll make changes as we go. I just, we need to get to a certain point with it, but I don't think we can try to define it at 100% right now, because I don't think we understand enough about it.
And I don't think that's what the initial policies that we're looking for. I think that the success of this relies on, honestly, the people in this room. I think that success or the failure of it is gonna lie on the people in this room. Because we can make this as easy as possible, or we can make this as difficult as can be. And I think that that's where some of this pen to paper is gonna be super important. I'm prepared to form a committee.
Yep, so I think if my recommendation is if the selectmen can vote to appoint a person and the water commissioners vote to appoint a person, and then we'll get together and figure out when to start meeting and working on this with the goal to have all of us come back on July 15th at that point
Agreed.
to try to hopefully
You reading
be
my
able to
notes?
approve some.
You reading my notes?
I am not.
Things about the point.
They have some chocolate on them now.
I ate it all. Do either you have any energy to be on this?
I would continue what I started, but I defer to the chair as well.
By all means.
Jeff, it is.
I make a motion for our chairman to be chairman of this
I love you too, John.
four-man committee.
I second that.
David,
Yes.
you'd be on this committee?
I would, and
Phil?
and appoint Phil as well, so I would ask
got you.
from the selectmen to
Gotcha.
take that as a
I
motion.
make a motion to form a committee in order to establish initial policies on the DPW water superintendent
Joint venture.
and that would be with, do I have to say names on the
Yep,
committee?
it would be Jeff, Phil,
Art?
and myself.
It would be
Mhm.
Jeff, Phil, Art,
We
And
voted
David.
for him.
nailed it.
Second.
You okay with
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, do we have to make the same vote?
Yeah, so I think your board should appoint you,
They already,
They did.
they already voted to appoint me,
then you're good.
so.
I saw it.
Another board for.
I don't think we need to
It's
go
on
into,
camera.
I don't think we need to go into executive session at this point. I don't think we're prepared to do that. I think that, I think this is a good, strong base. And I don't know if you want to motion to adjourn first, or are we all done, David? Is there anything else?
I'm fine, as long as it's up to you.
Sean, you all right?
I make a motion to adjourn this joint committee of Board of Water Commissioners and Board of Selectmen.
Can you do the joint, adjourn the joint, or just?
Just
adjourn
you
out?
guys.
Say that again? Just second it.
I think we understand the spirit of it.
All in favor?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
All in
third.
favor?
Aye.
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 It'll be a friendly divorce.